We want to welcome you to Church Online, wherever you are, whatever time, and we want to give you a warm welcome. So let me introduce, this is Olivia.
This is Babs, aka Mom.
And we're so happy to see you. So this is a big week for a lot of people. It's back to school. So Olivia, how have you gotten on this week?
Really good.
And what's your best part been?
Seeing our pals and my teacher.
And Talma, is your teacher a better teacher than your homeschool teacher?
Yeah.
I'm so out of a job.
We've got a really special service today.
And it's an interview from a very special lady that we love dearly. But first of all, we're going to go into
A time of worship.
Yeah. And to prepare our hearts, I've got a verse for you. And it's from Psalm 118, verse 24. And it says,
This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it.
I've carried a burden for too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. Yeah, I see it now. I'm laying it down, and I know that I need you. I run to the Father, I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I'll run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, oh. You saw my condition, had a plan from the start. Your son for redemption, the price for my heart. And I don't have a context for that kind of love. I don't understand, I can't comprehend. All I know is I need you. I run to the Father, fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding, no reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon, my soul needs a friend. So I'll run to the Father again and again and again and again. Oh, oh, again and again and again and again. Oh, my heart has been in your sights long before my first breath, running into your arms is running to life from death. And I feel this rush deep in my chest. Your mercy is calling out. Just as I am, you pull me in, and I know I need you now. My heart has been in your sight long before my So I'll run to the Father again and again and again.
And now it's time for an incredible life story from Laureena. I'm sure you'll be inspired, encouraged and moved by this amazing story.
Maureen, great to have you here.
Good to be here.
Great to see you. And I just was thinking, I think it's 20 years that I've known you now,
That's right.
and one of my favourite people. So
Thank you, Ben.
it really is good to have you here. So I've seen photos of you, a bonny young girl from Strichen. So tell us a little bit about your early life, just a few moments about how you were brought up in your early life.
Well, I was brought up in Strichen, as you said, and the great parents and a brother, and I've had great memories of Strichen. I loved Strichen. I loved going to Strichen school.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it was a smart school, and I had great friends. Sadly, my friend just passed away last year, but I really enjoyed Strichen, really was. And I left school when I was 15.
So was that a childhood friend?
Yes.
That just passed away last year, and
Yes,
you were
we've been
still
chums since we went to school.
Oh wow!
To school together, we stayed across the road for each other to start with, and I've been friends.
What was her name?
Mona
Mona.
Williams.
Oh, Mona.
Aye,
Oh, so she was stricken.
she was stricken. Aye.
I can Mona had passed away. I'd been praying for her, and it
Yes.
was your friend.
Aye,
I didn't realise it was her for
aye,
childhood.
aye.
So okay, so right up through into teenage years. So we've always known Vic and Maureen and Vic. So when did that happen? When did Vic come into your life?
Well, I met Vic at Strichen, the dance in Strichen, for the auction rooms are now.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes great memories when you get up there for a cup of coffee and then you think, well, 55 years ago, that I met Vic here, in this
Wow.
dance, in this flare.
Uh-huh.
And that's when I met him. And as I say, Mona was with me at the time.
Aye.
And I mind her words, she says to me, she says, you're not going with him, are you?
So I was 15. It wasn't too long before fell in love, married. So
No, I was 17 and a half
aye,
when I got married, and Vic was 19,
19.
Strichen Baptist Church. I was staying in School Street.
School Street in the Broch.
In a block. We had 2 rooms in School Street. It was a sublet, so we had 2 rooms as man's house. And that's where we started off our married life.
Mm-hmm. And then children came and go.
Yes,
So Vicky first.
Vicky first. She was a blessing,
Aye. And
really
then,
blessing.
And then David.
And then
followed.
David, he was 6.5 years after
Mhm.
Vicky.
So everything great. Happy family.
Yes.
Happy home.
Mm. We had our ups and downs, but it was great.
And Vic was working.
He was working at Mitchell's, Body Road.
So everything going great, and then something happened. Tell us a bit about Vic's. He had an accident, a really bad accident, did he?
Vic was working at Great Adams this day. He went into his work as normal. And there was another guy supposed to be going in before Vic, but he was late in coming in. So Vic was putting on to his job. And next thing, there was a man driving a forklift truck along the flare, and his foot must have slipped. The forklift truck went into his bench. It was a metal bench. And Vic had been bending down to get something, and the metal bench went left into Vic. And it took 12 men to get his bench away for Vic,
Wow.
because they didn't think that he would. They thought the worst,
Aye.
but the
He's
Lord was with him.
He survived,
He survived,
but
but he never worked since.
very, very bad injuries.
Mhm.
Aye. But Vic survived. But when When was that accident? When that happened?
1980s it had been, I would say,
Aye.
and just everyone about that time
Wow.
that he had the accident. And he was, well, out in the hospital quite a lot with that, because it was his back.
Aye.
And as I say, he's never been able to work since.
Aye. So quite tough times there.
Very tough, very
And-
tough.
And then things were to get even tougher, Maureen. When David started to get down the wrong road. Do you want to speak us through how that felt in the
Well,
family at that time?
It wasn't a great time. When we discovered, I didn't really think at the time. I think maybe our mums think there's nothing going on. And I was devastated to find out that David was involved with the drugs. Because before that, when David was younger, he was into the football and he was into winning. He
Aye,
was a
right,
great in for winning. We gave Dr. Wesley, took him on board with the winning, and he had a great time with that. And I just thought, oh, he'd be fine, Ken. But
Yeah.
no, sadly, David got involved with the drug situation.
Can you remember that moment of actually finding out and it hitting home that it was drugs that was a problem?
Well, David changed. He changed from being an easy-go-lucky kind of guy
Yeah.
to getting this mood swings and being aggressive,
Yeah.
which upset Vic and I immensely. And it wasn't easy. And I never thought the pals that come into house, I thought, oh, that's a fine guy,
Aye.
Ken. That's a fine guy. But sadly, no. It was a horrendous time. You know, only member of the family know, again, if it's involved with drugs, it's devastating. Just devastating. But I got support for the Solid Rock. I went to their meetings with the women. Was involved. Again, their family was involved with drugs, and had a great support there, because we could sit and speak about our family,
Aye.
and we could cry about our family. As I say, with David with drugs, I was devastated. And my mum took cancer. And when I learned that she had cancer, she was my rock. And I just went to her to speak about things,
Yeah.
especially with David. And I was devastated when I found out my mum had cancer. So just after that, I lost my voice. Just with the stress between my mum and David. I couldn't seem to cope with the situation it was in the house. And also like David and Vic had that bit of fire. Because Vic couldn't cope with his son being in drugs either.
It's
Okay.
difficult for that.
A difficult situation for the whole family, again. But then, as I say, I lost the voice. So that was making more difficult.
People speak about losing their voice. They lose their voice for a couple of days, but we are talking about completely losing the use of your vocal cords, and that went for a long, long time. I think we were speaking 15 and a half, almost 16 years
Yes.
that you went through that. And so when I met you, the first conversations is everybody in that period of your life, it was written in a
Aye.
note,
Pen and paper.
pen and paper, aye.
It was a really difficult time. It was horrendous because, well, I couldn't speak,
Aye.
and I had to write everything down. And if I was out with somebody, the time they were speaking about something, and me trying to write down what I thought, my opinion, they were finished.
Conversation had moved
Conversation had moved
Aye.
on.
Must have been very frustrating.
It was
for you.
very frustrating. And the worst bit is, I couldn't spell. So
That didn't help.
It didn't help me, did it? But so as much paper
I was
and
about to say,
pens.
how many
Oh, quite a lot
pads
of
notepads of paper
quite
did
a
you
lot
go?
of books. And the funny bit is, when I met May, and I can't be happy with this,
May Dawn.
May Dawn, she took my pad and my pen, and she was going to want to write down her reply. She thought that I couldn't even hear, because a lot of folk thought when I couldn't speak that I couldn't hear.
either. Aye, so
And
they
she
thought that to write
she
back.
thought that I couldn't hear what she was going to tell me. So she wrote it down.
You weren't very
Aye,
pleased at
I
that.
wasn't very pleased, no. I wasn't very chuffed about that. I says, Ken, I says, I wrote down, I can hear you. I just can't speak. But as I say, the time that years that I couldn't speak, I still kept up my smile. Because
Aye.
I thought that, I still think, that there's a lot of things worse. Again, okay, I couldn't speak, but if you lost your sight, I think that would be terrible, just horrendous.
Aye. But you must have forgiven May because
Oh,
we can
yes.
offer good friends we
Oh,
have.
yes, for great chums. But I remember that, I really do. I remember that first time that I really met her, Ken. And that's what she did.
And so, well, as I was saying, when I met you, you know, we communicated like that. And I think, if I remember right, you'd been gone to as you'd mentioned, the Solid Rock parent support group. And
Yes.
it was mostly moms that were together.
Oh, yes, aye.
Just arguing through terrible things with our kids in terms of addiction. I think my mum and Helen Lindsay
Yes.
was there as
Aye,
well.
that's
and
right.
and so, but through that we got to meet, didn't we? And you got to get David to agree to meet us. And I always mind coming up to the house. I think it was with George, Jack and Devon.
That's right, it
'Cause
was.
Vic always used to say the three
Three-
musketeers
aye,
or three
that's right.
amigos or something
Three
like
amigos.
that. Three amigos. He always referred to us as that. But it was quite an incredible meeting that day, wasn't it?
It was.
There
it
was a readiness,
It
definitely
was.
in yourself and
Aye.
Vic, desperate
Well, that's it.
for David to get help and
Get
to,
help.
to change. But there was a desperation in him as well. He came to a point, and
That's right. He just had come to that point, because I mind that night, Ben, that I went, I came home and I says to Vic, I says, there's some folk coming up to the house. Fast coming up the house. I says, well, I've just met him. I says, they're coming up to speak to David. Ken, that wouldn't help. I says, well, but I'm trying. I says, I'm trying. I says, because the support group's helping me. I says, no, I want David to get help. So I minded that night. Well, it was Ruth Garden, in fact, told David about the church. It was her.
that's right.
Yeah, it was her.
I might not know.
It was her that told David about the support. And it was David that started coming to see you about his problems. And you listened. So, and then David started coming to AOG.
Aye.
And well, we was just gone to West Church. In fact, no, really, Vic went more than I did. And so David was speaking about the church, telling us again about it. So he says to his dad, in fact, it was a Sunday after, I think, Vic was going to go to West Church. And David said to his father, can I come with you? Vic come in to me and he said, David's coming to the church, West Church. I says, oh no. Vic says, well, they can't do near wrong coming to church. I says, oh no, okay. And so he went to his father on the way. And the following Sunday, David said to Vic, no, I came to the West Church for you last Sunday. So will you come to the assemblies with me? So Vic, it came on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe I was 2 or 3 weeks after that, before I came.
Aye.
And never looked back. Never looked back. It's the greatest thing that we've ever done. Just great. But it's David I'd have to thank for that.
That's right.
Ken, if there are other troubles we've had with David,
But he brought you
I'll
along.
always be grateful for him for doing it,
Aye.
for taking us to meet the Lord in the church.
Aye.
Aye, you
And
forget
so
it.
what did that do for your faith, when you came into that environment and that?
Oh, it was just the welcome that you got, and the warmth, and just everybody supporting you, and just that great support that we got for folk in the church, the situation that we was in. Ken, we may not have been able to speak
Aye.
as well, Ken, and it was just I can't praise it the meeting enough. I just can't.
So
can't.
do you feel that you experienced God's love when you came to the church, like that, through the people?
Through the people,
Aye.
Ben, it was just, as I say, it's just, God's love was there
Aye.
at Sunday that I went. And then I realised that David was speaking about, and I realised that Vic was speaking about, because
Aye.
he was getting every week, can't AOG, Ken? And so that was it.
Brilliant.
Great.
Brilliant. So David, he battling his problems, battling the addiction, wanting to come off it, believing in the Lord, and then following that, he went away to places, and on a journey,
Yes,
a journey of recovery, really. So,
yes.
and if it was that like for you, obviously, really, really wanting to see him changing his life.
Oh, it was, when David was away, well, you took him doing, mine had Johnny.
Unforgettable.
Unforgettable, man, unforgettable.
Long journey. Isn't it?
Long journey.
I'm never going to get there.
No, and it was great because we had peace in the house when David was away. So I didn't have to worry nothing happening, and I can't be safe.
Aye.
Because a person, it's an addiction. When they go out your door, you didn't ken fit like they're going to be if they're going to come home at night or the following day. And it's a terrible thing for parents to go through. So I was happy when he went away.
Yep.
But he had to come home again.
He took on him again, and it is sometimes it takes time, doesn't it? It takes a journey to happen, and ups and downs and different things. So lots of challenges already, but in the it was about 2006, there was another big challenge coming.
Discovered that Vicky had breast cancer, and that was just a devastating blow for the whole family.
Yep.
It was not easy to cope with, but we just put our trust in the Lord, and just to get us through out of our difficult times.
Yeah.
It really was difficult.
So, very challenging time, Maureen. Did you feel that it was difficult to have faith and difficult to trust in the Lord through that time? Did you still have your faith in Him?
Oh, I still had my faith. Oh, definitely. What I felt was because I couldn't speak, I didn't have really the chance to ask doctors things. If they're writing things down, it's not the same as actually speaking
Of course. No.
to a doctor. And, well, speaking to Vicky, again,
Aye.
because, well, it wasn't easy for her.
No.
And that's what I found really difficult. But no, my faith was strong. my faith has always been strong.
Aye, there's been a lot of challenges we're speaking about, and there's more to speak about, but in between that, something happened, and I think, if I'm not wrong, it was 2012, that after years and years of the silence,
Yes.
tell us what happened.
Well, it was 2012, and the 17th of November, we was going to watch Peterhead, to the Apex Women's meeting, and I was going with Molly, May, and Christine. And Molly was picking me up, and May was in the car.
So this is Molly Ritchie, May Dawn, and
they
Christine
were
Simpson.
they were all there.
Right.
And in fact, maybe before that, there was a wee bit of whisper in my voice.
Aye.
But that Saturday morning, I woke up and my voice was as clear as anything. Vic, of course, was delighted. After 15 and a half years of silence,
What was the first thing you said to him?
I can't mind.
Well, just say it was "I love you," will it?
Well, aye, that's what we'll say.
So he was
I
just. He was
can't
just
even mind because it
over
was
the
such a
moon.
shock.
Aye.
It was a big shock.
Aye.
So Utai goes to the car, and I'm getting sent to the car, and I just says, "Good morning, girls." Molly and May's just sitting. May, she turns round. "You just spoke." I says, "Aye." And I'm glad the car was stationary, because maybe Molly might have crashed into somebody with the shock that I gave her. So we picked up Christine. She came into the car, and I says, "Like Christine." She didn't answer me yet. I says, "But like." And she'd have seen her face as well. It was just, Ken, Ken. So, of course, we went through to Peterhead to meet. Of course, I never stopped speaking otherwise to Peterhead, because I had a lot to catch up on.
What?
I had a lot to catch up. Because, they spoke all the time, so it's my turn now to speak.
Aye, you were doing well.
Well.
We like her, Christine and
Aye,
Molly
well,
and May.
that's it, aye. So, we got Peterhead. And of course, by that time, I think maybe folk had said something, and I can. So it was just a great day.
Aye.
And we had a thing on the table. Everybody in the table got us something and they had to speak about. Ken. And in our table, that day, we got a highlighter. And one of these highlighters. So, of course, our subject was me, because it was a highlight that day that I could speak after 15 and a half years.
Wow.
And I've still kept that highlighter to this day. I've still kept it.
Brilliant.
And then, of course, Sunday morning,
Oh, aye.
Victor says, "Ben, we'll button you up." I says, "Aye, okay."
Victor West. Aye.
Victor West. I says, "Okay." And I always remember my words. I was shocking, and I was overwhelmed a bit as well, Ken. Gone up the platform and standing there and seeing all this folk, Ken. And I mind my words, and I can't, if you mind, I know. I said, first thing I said was, "I'm the speaker."
That's right, you brought the house down with the first sentence.
The first sentence I said
You
was,
went, "I'm the speaker,"
"I'm
and
the
then put on a look.
I'm the
and
speaker."
then
And
Abdi
Abdi
was
rose to their feet
Aye,
and
that's right,
clapped,
that's
and
right.
I'll never forget that day.
I think it was one of the most memorable
It was
times
just,
in church
aye,
that I've had, that a lot of folk have
I'll
had.
never forget that day.
And a lot of folks heard about it all the country, because
Yes,
Danny
Danny.
going speaking about it
he
as
spoke
as
about
well.
that his first meeting doing so.
First meeting, but in other places as
Yes,
well. It was just, it was miraculous.
it was miracle.
Yeah, we
It was
really
a miracle,
did feel
and it was God's timing. That miracle.
just almost unbelievably, right after that, things just, I mean, there's been so many challenges that we've spoken about so far, but things over the next while were just, you couldn't have predicted it. It was just devastating.
No.
So bring me through the next even few weeks to 3 months.
It wasn't something we was expecting. We didn't think it was going to happen. But that Wednesday, the 28th of November, David and I come down to the house for his coffee on a Wednesday morning. And I mean, Amy Roberts was going to be singing at Encore that afternoon.
Wow.
I was really looking forward to that. But there's no signs of David, so I phoned David's neighbour to ask if his car was at the outside the door. She said, yes. I says, that's funny, because I tried his phone and I phoned and no answer. So I said to Vic, I says, come on, I'm going up to see if David's okay. I'm not coming, be all right, he says. It'll just be his back, because he was bothered with his back and all. And I says, no, you're just coming with me. And I'm awful glad Vic was with me. So got the stuff in and I went on the back door. The door was open. And I ging in, Auntie's house. And the bed was all made, nothing. And his living room door was kind of open a wee bit. And I said to myself, was that lying in David City? I says, it's not David. It's not David. Because he was in his colour. I'll just put it like that. It was no. And I was in first, and Vic came in. And the only way I recognised it was my son, was his haircut. So that shows you, tells you a wee bit what like he was. And Vic, he started shouting and he went in to the neighbour next door to phone for the ambulance, but it was anything they could do in a way. And I mind and getting out to his living room and getting outside because he bidden his pensioner's house in Strigan. Because when he got to his house, I says, oh, David, I says, I didn't think that's a place for you because it's our pensioners who bides beside you. And it's no fair in them, a young person can get in amongst them. But I was proved wrong with David and Strigan because if your neighbour that I'd spoke to said he was the best neighbour they could ever want. He would down to one of his neighbours every Sunday morning for his coffee. And the only thing he could do for them, he did. And I was really, really proud that he was helping his neighbours because they were really up good. And they were good to him. I went outside on the way. And I again, Father's noise come out of my voice. And I can't really mind much after that. I just mind the sirens and police and ambulance and the doctor come in. As I say, I had to drive a car home that day for Strigan to Broch after finding David Kern, the way he was. And hardest bit now was I had to go in to see Vicky.
Tell her.
Now, first time, Vicky, cancer had come back really bad. And it was in the brain and in the bones. So because we was preparing for Vicky's death, we was preparing for it because we were told for the hospital that she had 2 years to live when they found the cancer was in the brain. And I had to come down and I had to go into Vicky's and tell her that her brother was dead. And that was, to me, the hardest thing I had to do, was tell my queen that her brother was not here, no longer here. And I had to go up to the college to get shown, because he was at the college at that time. Scott was working for him with his job, and he was not due home to the following day. And I says, well, we're not going to tell Scott because he'll be home the following day, so we'll just leave it to Scott. So I had to go and get shown. And I got shown, and I told him it had found David. And he just went, he was just lost it a wee bit. And that was really, really hard to do. Ken, especially Vicky, because Vicky she'd kent herself that she hadn't that long. She never spoke about it really. She never didn't tell Vicky. And I often wonder myself, should I have told Vicky that she just had so much time to live? I often think about that. This day, should I have told her? Would it have made a difference to her? Or would it have made it what? I don't know. That's the question that I haunts me really in a sense. Should I have told Vicky?
That whatever you did was we considering the best for your daughter.
Well,
and we
that's what I think now. Because I was scared if I told her that she might not have had a life with her boys. Or can it meet I didn't ken. I just didn't ken. And the worst thing was is David's funeral service. I had to watch Vicky get into church. Kenning.
It wouldn't belong.
It wouldn't belong for her. But to me, that was really difficult, because we kent that she wouldn't have long. We kent that she wouldn't have long. But we was just seeing her there at her brother's funeral service. She wasn't, and Nino's was expecting. I wasn't expecting it at all. If it happened to David, I just wasn't. It just was come out of the blue for me. To me, David was fine. He was he just, and I can.
It's one of the most traumatic things that I've ever kind of undertaken through to find their son like that. And I remember going to see in you know the images and fit you'd felt were feeling that day was almost overwhelming, and you didn't know how you could go on with it. But somehow you did, and somehow you've managed. And I do fully believe, and I think you would agree, that the Lord has strengthened you in that.
The Lord has been my strength through all this. The last thing that I've been through, the Lord's always been there for me.
So as you were saying there, that you know the trauma and the devastation of finding David with the situation with Vicky and the boys, having to go through the service and realising and looking at Vicky, and then I think it was within now timeline here. A voice comes back. Weeks? How many weeks till you found David?
Well, it's just 11 days.
11 days.
Aye.
And then within 3 months, I think, was it?
Vicky passed away in the March 2nd. And that day, we was doing here for a soup and sweet for some thing what was going on in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And Vicky was with us. And Vicky liked mint soup.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jane Carnan, she came with a tubby of mint soup for Vicky to take home with her.
Mm-hmm.
Because I found that mint soup in the car months after. So we had our lunch, went up the road. Vicky was fine, speaking of her. In fact, we went in past Tesco's, but she sat in the car because she just felt tired, kind. And they went up the road, and Vicky had a stroller for walking because she wasn't able to walk properly. And she walked in through the garage because it was easier for her, because we're front steps, everybody veg on it. She walked in and she just got to the utility door. Then she just kind of collapsed. And she just says, "Oh, my leg." I said, "It's all right, McQueen." I says, "We'll get you up." So, tried to get her up, and Vic tried to get her up. And Vicky's last words were, "Dad, you hurt your back." And she collapsed. And I had to get the neighbours, and then another bad thing I had to do the other day, which was worse, I had to go in and find the boys, Scott and Sean. They were what their chums. Because this was the back at 3 o'clock. And I had to go in and find them and pick them up down at the bus station. And they come into the car. And I had to tell them that their mum was away. And it was just devastating. It was just unbelievable things that it had happened. I can't was expecting it, but it doesn't make it any easier. Okay.
It's immense pain and hurt and loss that you experience in such a short space of time. Many people would say, "Where's God?" and why is God not help me?
Yes.
Many people would turn away from God.
Yes.
And probably a lot of folk would understand why somebody would do that, but I found that you turned more into God.
Well, I ken somebody, as Lassie had said to her mum, she says, and her mum had told if it happened to my situation, and she says, "I can't understand why she's still going to the church."
Mm-hmm.
And the mum says, "Well, because she's got faith."
Mm-hmm.
But why, if she's against the church, why did that happen? But there's lots of questions we could ask ourselves why things happen. But you've just got to believe in the Lord. But she couldn't understand why we were still going to the meeting. She thought, if that had happened to us, we would have walked away from the meeting and had nothing to do with meetings. But no. That's no Vic and I. No, definitely not. No.
Laureena, nothing else could go wrong, you would think.
No.
And no long after Vic is a stroke.
Yes.
The intense pressure that's been on you and all these things that we've been speaking about, and then that happens. Let me ask you a question then. Your voice came back 11 days before David
Yes.
died. And then Vicky. And then the challenges keep going on like that. What was the purpose, do you think? Do you think it was a reason?
Well, again, there was a reason for the voice to come back. I've always said that because it was just the Lord's timing. I mean, why did I not get my voice back before that?
Mm-hmm.
When David was fine and Vicky was fine.
Aye.
So why did I not get my voice back then? But it was the Lord's timing for me to get my voice back, because He kent that I was needing that strength, that inner voice, to help coping with the situation that I was in with David and Vicky. And then with stroke, it was devastating for us, again, because we was feared in case he wouldn't recover. In a sense, again, at the beginning, his stroke, because he didn't recognise folk, and he with a lot of work to do with Vic to get him better than what he was. Okay? But I'm lucky he's still here, so that's the main thing.
I remember you saying as well that you got to speak to David
Aye,
for that time,
for that time.
and that was precious even for that short
Precious. Precious to speak. So I advise anybody, speak to your family.
time. Aye,
Speak to them.
yeah.
Don't let them forget that you love them. That's what I feel. Speak to them.
So Maureen, tell me, for somebody that's been through the as I've said, some of the probably the hardest times that I've kind of to go through, you've still got, both you and Vic, you still have this joy. You've still got this happiness, this peace about you, an amazing faith, and even to the point that you're always encouraging others, you're always helping others and serving in a church and in showing God's love and showing love to other people. How have you managed that?
As I say with my faith, but I would like to read out Romans 15, verse 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. And that verse, I think, sums it up a wee bit about me. And another verse that I like is Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding.
And
I would like to finish off with something that I got for David years ago. And I come up on it again at night, and I was looking through papers. And this is what it says. When things seem impossible and you can't face another day, the Lord extends His helping hand and shows us there is a way. Trust in the Lord.
Thank you so much, Maureen.
Thank you.
You're an inspiration and you're a fantastic example for every one of us, and we really appreciate you. We really appreciate Vic, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Enjoy.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of your goodness. my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire.
So I'm not sure how if I've been getting on doing communion at home during online church, but I ken in my house it's been causing one or two problems. There was a bit of a debate if it were going to use for the emblems. My mum, of course, there's no fancy crackers in the house, so she's raking the cupboards, seeing what we've got, and a packet of digestives came out. So I've been fair enjoying myself during church this last few weeks. And there was an argument one week, one digestive left, and well, got broken, and big fight or if I got the bigger half, but Mum won high. So I just want to turn to 1 Corinthians 11:24, a passage we use a lot when we're speaking about communion. And if I will read, it says, "The Lord broke the bread and said, 'This is my body broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me.'" And that's kind of what I want to just highlight anew, do this in remembrance of me. And when I'm reading that passage anew, it reminds me probably if I was back in church a bit younger, sitting there on a Sunday morning, not really half interested, probably never wanting to be here a lot of the time. And I mind when the communion was going on and the emblems was being passed round, I would often just sat here and let it pass me by and no take part. And when I read that verse again, looking back now, it's so clear to me how it's an instruction for the Lord that we need to take this opportunity and realise the privilege that it is to take every chance we've got remembering him and us why. And I could almost kick myself now for looking back and not taking every opportunity I've had to do this. And I think we've all got to think just now and how Jesus didn't think twice about going to the cross and giving his life for us so we could have a relationship with him, and a gift of salvation was open for us. And a verse that I really like that speaks about this love is John 15:13. "Greater love has no one than this, that someone would lay down his life for his friends." And today we've all got to realise that there's already been a life laid down for me, you, whoever's watching, and that our debts have been paid by what the Lord did, and this is what it's all about remembering during communion. And I just want to read in Mark 14:23-24, another verse we'll look at a lot with us. And it says, "Then he took the cup, gave thanks, and offered it to them, and they all drank from it. 'This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many,' he said to them." And just as we close this part of service, and I just want to encourage everybody at home today that, to really try and draw in to God's presence here and now, and whatever distractions is going on, try and forget about them, Bairns running about or arguing about what to use for emblems, whatever it is in your house. And really, don't let this be an empty gesture and just something you just do as part of your Sunday. And we can't forget that it is a privilege and a great opportunity. It's one freedom that I haven't gone on. I know it's not been taken away from us, and it's not going to be. So we just need to make sure we do this, and just take that opportunity to remember that Jesus poured out his love and gave his life for us on the cross. And the best bit came after that when he rose again 3 days later. And just a couple of lyrics I want to leave you, one of my favourite songs that speaks about God's love, and it's "How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretched sinner."
It's running after me. With my life laid down and surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God.
you, Aberdeen, for took part in the service.
For the worship team, for Stephen that led us in communion, and of course for Maureen for that powerful interview. If you've been impacted at all by the interview, please get in contact with us. We'd just like to remember the Cow family and also the Mackenzie and Bellany family at this time and during their sad loss.
Remember the prayer night on Tuesday.
There's information coming out and we'll look forward to seeing you there. It's been a pleasure to be with you all today.
Missing you all.
See you guys soon.
Bye.